All right, well, my Red Sox are playing well lately. I'm sure the Yankees are doing the same. Let's see what they're up to.
To right field. Sanoa round. Nubbed in front of the plate. The run will score.
The dirt. He's got it. There's two away throw to first. Got him!
1-1. And there's a swing and a fly ball. Gone!
Well, that's not looking too good. All right, so the Yankees have been struggling lately. As of right now, they're 60 and 53 at the time of this recording. They're tied for the second and third wild card spots with the Mariners, 2.5 games back behind the Red Sox for the first wild card. Now, the Yankees, they got off to a great start this year. They were leading the division on June 1st. They were 36 and 22, 5.5 ahead of the Blue Jays. But man, oh man, it has been a completely different story over the last couple of months. Since June, they have only gone 25 and 31. They have not been playing well, and they just got walked off against the Rangers last night, along with getting swept by the Marlins this past weekend. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to look at how the Yankees were doing in the first couple of months when it came to the offense, the starting pitching, the relief pitching, the defense as well. And then I'm going to compare it to how they've been doing as of late here in the last couple of months. And then by the end of the video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on whether or not the Yankees are on the verge of a collapse. Let's go take a look at the numbers. So from the beginning of the season to the end of May, the offense was tremendous. They ranked second overall in offense on Fangraphs. They were second in OPS with an 812. They were second in WRC Plus with a 125. They were wrecking fastballs, second in run value against fastballs, and wrecking off-speed pitches. They were first against changeups in Major League Baseball. They had the lowest chase rate as well. Aaron Judge, he was going off. He was putting on an absolutely torrid pace. He was on pace for one of the best seasons of all time. Paul Goldschmidt, he was having a renaissance of a season. Trent Grisham was looking like Barry Bonds at the plate. Ben Rice was going off. Jason Dominguez, Cody Bellinger, Anthony Volpe even were contributing as well. However, there were a few warning signs. Now, they had the 9th highest whiff percentage and the 26th lowest contact percentage. And against breaking pitches, they didn't do as well. They were 12th against sliders. Now, since June 1st, the offense has taken a step back, but they still rank well overall. Now, since June 1st, they rank 7th in offense, 7th in WRC Plus with a 107, 7th in OPS with a 750. Judge was still producing before going down with an injury. Giancarlo Stanton came back in June as well. However, since Aaron Judge went down on July 25th with an elbow injury, the Yankees are 4-6 without him with a 711 OPS that ranks 16th overall in the majors, a 99 WRC Plus. Now, what that tells me is that without Judge, this offense is pretty average without him for the most part, and obviously, he is a big piece in the lineup, so taking him out is really going to put a lot of pressure on these other guys. Now, you've had Stanton, Grisham stepping up without him, but guys around him in the lineup like Ben Rice, Cody Bellinger, they've been having a bit of a tough time. Guys lower in the order like Jazz Chisholm, Paul Goldschmidt, Austin Wells have been cold. Now, with Judge coming back this week, though, I think you're going to see the offense stabilize itself. Obviously, he's a massive piece in the lineup, so he is going to have to stay healthy for the last couple of months here for this Yankees offense, I think, to produce at its best. Now, when it comes to the defense, that is a question mark to me. Now, overall, the Yankees rank 15th in defense on the year. They have 22 defensive runs saved. That ranks 14th overall in all of Major League Baseball, but they have -8 outs above average. That only ranks 21st in all of the majors. Now, when it comes to the outfield defense, they have 0 outs above average, so pretty average for the most part, and with -3 defensive runs saved. Now, in the infield, they have been struggling there, -8 outs above average. That ranks 23rd in all of Major League Baseball, but with Jazz Chisholm going back to second base now after trading for Ryan McMahon, who's a good defender at third base, I think you're going to see the infield defense get better here. One thing that people have been wondering about with the Yankees for a little while now are the fundamentals being taught within the organization. Eric Boland, a Yankee beat writer, actually went on Foul Territory here recently, and he talked about how Didi Gregorius was telling his Yankee teammates in 2019 after rehabbing, you wouldn't believe some of the going on in our minor leagues regarding the lack of stress on the fundamentals. So I wonder if maybe that's trickling into the major league level here. One guy who's taken a big step back this year is Anthony Volpe, not only offensively, but a huge step back defensively as well. Now, when it comes to the catcher position with Austin Wells, I think that's a bit more interesting moving forward. Now, with Wells, he's one of the best framers in all of Major League Baseball. He ranks third overall there, but when it comes to some of the other areas, I think there's a bit of a concern. Now, when it comes to catcher ERA, Austin Wells has a -7 overall, and that ranks dead last in all of Major League Baseball. What catcher ERA is how well a catcher manages the pitching staff when it comes to the pitch calling and the sequencing. And when it comes to runs from stolen bases, he has a -3, and the Yankees overall rank 29th in all of Major League Baseball. So Austin Wells, when it comes to the runners on the bases, he's not throwing them out very much. They're creating a lot more pressure for the pitching staff, so that's not really helping anything out. Moving over to the starting pitching the first couple of months, the Yankees were very solid there. They ranked 10th overall in Fangraph wins above replacement. They had an ERA at 3.58, a FIP right around the same at a 3.59. Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, they were looking great. Clark Schmidt, he was solid in the middle of the rotation. With Will Warren, the ERA was high at a 5.19, but the FIP looked a lot better at a 3.15. And you even had Ryan Yarbrough contributing at the back end of the rotation. Now, there were some warning signs, though. With Will Warren, he was racking up the strikeouts, but the walk rate was very high with him, and there were some concerns, I think at least, when it came to the depth of the rotation. You had Garrett Cole out since the beginning of the year. Luis Gil was still trying to make his way back. Marcus Stroman, who's now been DFA'd, he was struggling. Carlos Carrasco wasn't able to do anything for you. Ryan Yarbrough, he was pitching well, but over a long season, injuries are bound to happen. And Cam Schlittler, he was pitching well down to the minor leagues, but he's a rookie. You don't want to lean too much on a rookie. And overall, for me, I think the depth was a big question mark. And taking a look at the numbers since June 1st, the starting pitching has taken a step back. They're 19th overall in Fangraph wins above replacement. They have a 4.29 ERA, a 4.32 on the FIP. Now, Fried has been good overall this year, but he was a lot more inconsistent in the month of July. Carlos Rodon, he was getting hit around a bit more. And once teams start getting more scouting reports as the season goes on, they start to make those adjustments. So what they were doing in the first couple of months has taken a step back here over the last couple of months. And on top of that, Clark Schmidt had to get Tommy John, and to me, I think that was a big loss. Now, he wasn't an ace like Max Fried or Carlos Rodon, but I saw him as the glue of the rotation, that perfect middle of the rotation guy that went out every fifth day, gave you a pretty good start for the most part. So I think losing him was a big deal. And like I said a second ago, Marcus Stroman got DFA'd. He was absolutely terrible this year with the Yankees after saying he was a starter back in spring training. I don't know, maybe he should have just gone to the bullpen. Ryan Yarbrough, he went down with an injury with a strained oblique. Cam Schlittler, he got called up. He had a couple of good moments after getting called up, but overall, the ERA is in the mid-4s. The FIP is closer to a 6 because of the higher walk rate and the high home runs allowed rate. I mentioned earlier with Warren how he had a high walk rate, and as of late, he has been inconsistent. Now, with Luis Gil, he just came back recently. He was very good last year for the Yankees, but first start back this year against the Marlins, gave up 5 runs in 3 1/3. So let's see if he can get himself back on track. Now, with the Yankees at the deadline, I was really hoping they were going to be able to go out there and land a starter to provide more stability for the rotation with Clark Schmidt out, but in the end, they couldn't find the right deal, ended up pivoting to beefing up the bullpen. And speaking of, let's go talk about the bullpen. Now, in the first couple of months of the year, they were 9th overall in Fangraph wins above replacement, had a 3.67 ERA, 3.59 on the FIP. And the biggest story during this time was the closer role. Remember, they traded for Devin Williams this past offseason. He was struggling mightily, ended up getting taken out of the closer role. Luke Weaver went back in, ended up stabilizing that spot. He was looking really good. Mark Leiter Jr., Fernando Cruz, they were pitching great. Tim Hill was pretty solid as the lefty in the bullpen. So overall, the bullpen was looking fine for the most part. There were some warning signs, though, one being outside of the group that I just mentioned, there wasn't much else to lean on, so if an injury or two happened, that was going to create a lot of problems. And since June 1st, those warning signs have come to fruition. Now, with the bullpen, they're really starting to struggle as a whole lately. From June 1st to the end of July, they had an ERA of 4.78 with a 4.68 on the FIP. They ranked 28th in FWAR. Now, with Luke Weaver, he ended up missing time with a hamstring injury. Since he's come back, he's been up and down. ERA at a 5.82, FIP at a 5.76, 2.6 home home runs per 9 allowed over the last 17 innings pitched. Now, he has looked good in his last couple of appearances, so maybe that's a good sign moving forward. Now, of Devin Williams, after going back in the closer role, he was showing some improvements after the first couple of months of the season. He had 8 saves, but he was still giving up some runs here and there, had an ERA at 4.50 since Weaver went down until the end of July. And a lot of guys have been struggling, like Loaisaga, who came back from injury in May, but very inconsistent, and now he's back on the IL. Fernando Cruz, he went on the IL with a strained oblique. Mark Leiter Jr. ended up missing time with a leg fracture too. Now at the deadline, Brian Cashman, he made a lot of moves to the bullpen, moves that I thought were very good, bringing in David Bednar, Camille Duvall, and Jake Bird. Unfortunately, those moves, which did look good at the time based off their numbers prior to coming to the Yankees, haven't translated into good results. So far between the three, very small sample size, only 6 innings here, but they've given up 9 runs since coming over to the Yankees. This makes me think back to the stat that I brought up earlier with catcher ERA with Austin Wells. Perhaps there's a bit of an adjustment there. Austin Wells, when you look at the numbers, hasn't really shown that he's working well with the pitching staff overall. You got to think with Camille Duvall, he was coming from one of the best defensive catchers in the game in Patrick Bailey. David Bednar coming from the Pirates with Henry Davis, who has a track record of being a good game caller. And Jake Bird, who just got demoted recently, is coming from Coors Field, which we all know is a tough place to pitch. So with whatever he was doing there, he's probably got to do something different here with the Yankees. Let's see if he can come up with a different game plan down in the minor leagues. So let's get to the final verdict and let's talk about a couple of positives. Now, the offense with Aaron Judge coming back should be able to stabilize itself. Judge back in the lineup is really going to take pressure off the other guys around him. And with Stanton hitting well as of late, that's going to be a very nice 1-2 punch there. Now, the bullpen, I do think is going to stabilize. David Bednar, Camille Duvall, like I said, they're coming from good game-calling catchers. I think they're going to settle down eventually. Jake Bird was having a good season before coming to the Yankees. I think they'll come up with a better game plan. Fernando Cruz, Mark Leiter Jr., they're coming back from injuries soon. That's only going to help. But there are some warning signs to me, and I'm looking at the starting pitching. Overall, it has taken a step back here over the last couple of months. Sure, you still have Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Luis Gil back should help, but is he going to have enough time to find a rhythm here over the last couple of months? Now, when it comes to the other guys in the rotation, I think a question mark is, can they make up for the loss of Clark Schmidt for the rest of the season? Cam Schlittler, I think there's a lot of good things there, but is he going to be able to get himself going here over the last couple of months? Ryan Yarbrough, will he have an impact after coming back from injury? Will Warren, can they get him to be a bit more consistent? And I'm also looking at Austin Wells. Like I said, elite framing, one of the best rates in all of Major League Baseball, but he's going to have to improve here with the pitch calling, especially with the new guys here in town. And is he going to be able to prevent runners from stealing so much on him? And with the bat, that's been struggling all year this year. Can they get a bit more out of his bat to be able to provide just an overall impact for the Yankees over the last couple of months? In the end, I think the Yankees are good enough to win a wild card, but I think eventually things are going to have to stabilize. I just wonder, is there going to be enough time to really get everything settled down and be able to get back on track? I do think the Yankees can do that. We're just going to have to wait and see. But everybody, let me know your thoughts on the Yankees down below in the comments. Yankee fans, do you think they're absolutely screwed? Let me know down below in the comments. And everyone else, what do you think of the Yankees right now? Do you think they're going to be able to hang on until the end of the season? Do you think they can even go on a run, maybe get hot here, maybe go back after the division? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. But everybody, that's all I got for right now. If you can on the way out, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.